Alexis, I have a new theory I would like to introduce.
Okay.
So I'm sure I'm not the first. I just haven't done any research on it. This episode brought it to me, and it is now the hill I will die on. Are you ready?
I'm always ready for stuff like this.
Shawn is actually psychic. But no one, including him, can tell because of all the training that Henry gave him. So he's also hyper-observant. But he's actually got a gift.
Okay. I'm gonna need, some more for that.
The first introduction is in this episode, but I'm going to provide proof as often as I can because it's just a thing that it's like everyone thinks he's faking, including him, but I think it's real.
All right, I'm into hearing this. I don't necessarily agree with you at the moment, but I am ready to be told differently.
All right.
Okay, I say then we get into this episode so we can hear it.
It's showtime.
This is To the Blueberry! I am Alexis, and I'm a real-life Gus.
I'm Kaylee, and I'm a real-life Shawn.
We are a real-life best friend duo who decided it was important to talk to one another once a week, so we wanted to start a podcast about our favorite show, Psych.
It worked.
Really well. I hope you guys will join us and listen in while we recap and talk about our favorite moments of Season 3, Episode 8, Gus Walks into a Bank. Kaylee and I were talking about this pre-show, but I think it's worth noting here. This episode isn't really much to push any plot along or anything, but it is what it is, and that doesn't make it bad by any means.
Yeah, as a placeholder episode, I mean, it gives a little nudge to the Shawn Juliet chemistry bubbling thing that's happening, but we're here for the guest stars and we're enjoying it.
Yes, I think that this episode was written to star the guest stars, not to star our people. Now, don't get me wrong, we get a ton of Shawn in this episode, but we get more of Shawn in the guest stars than we do any of our other reoccurring characters.
Even Gus.
Yeah.
And we should note, just off the top, there's no flashback. Not
Ever.
one. Not a hint.
Yeah. But there are, I got 3 pineapples this episode.
Oh, I only got one. I vaguely glimpsed something by accident. I wasn't even trying to look it up. That tried to tell me there was a pineapple somewhere having to do with the pizzas that isn't where he says pineapple. And I didn't see any there. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I just found the real one. And he says pineapple. And I'll count both of those.
Yeah, there's a real one. There is a talking about pineapple pizza specifically, and then there's another little hint of a pineapple. So I'm excited to talk about them all. So, because we don't get a flashback, we are starting in present day, and we are outside of the bank.
Yeah, Gus puts the car in park, and Shawn instantly starts getting comfy.
Gus is like, "Are you not going to come in there with me? Are you going to make me stand in line alone?"
Shawn says, "You're just depositing. Like, what am I going in there for? Plus, on principle, I have a problem with this institution."
The problem that they have is that they denied his small business loan for a snack-carrying zipline to take food from the kitchen to the reception area or to the office itself.
Yes, zipline pulley system to deliver snacks. And Gus says that Shawn needs to share in the business side of owning a business. And Shawn is definitely more interested in the bidness side of doing business.
Gus is like, "Dude, fine, I'm out." He goes into the bank to meet with people face to face. And as he's leaving, Shawn turns on the radio. The song that comes on is Genius by the Friendly Indians, which is Steve Frank's band.
Show creator Steve Franks, showing up all over the damn place.
I was listening to it and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's it. That's got to be a song." And so I looked it up and it was, yeah.
Yeah, in my notes it literally just says Steve Frank song ?
Yeah,
because it sounded like it. We go into the bank with Gus, And he's just trying to see, like, ooh, who am I likely to get to see next? Like, where am I in line? And he sees the prettiest teller, and he is a little bit gobsmacked.
I call her a hottie. While Gus is kind of checking out this woman, our guest star number 1 walks in. And it is none other than Alan Ruck,
who played Cameron Fry in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like, peak wingman Cameron Fry.
That is important to note for something a little bit later. But he's also known for Spin City was the other thing I watched him in all the time. He was a main character in that show, and I watched it. But he has a lot of places where you just see him and you're like, oh my gosh, it's Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Oh yeah, he does one-offs on a lot of shows. He does like 6-episode or 13-episode arcs every great once in a while or something. He was in the movie Speed, the movie Twister with notable mention Carrie Always from The Princess Bride fame. Also, they did a show together called From the Earth to the Moon, and Pin and him, because we'll be seeing him in this show too.
I feel like maybe I need to watch that show, From the Earth to the Moon, just because I like these two actors so much, but I need to know the premise of it, so.
Yeah, I definitely don't know. It might be a miniseries. It was a fun fact I found.
Nice. Someone screams, oh my gosh, a gun! Because Phil has a gun. Oh, Phil, by the way, is the name of the character
Alan Ruck is playing, yeah.
Correct, thank you.
I call him Stubbs a lot because his name is Phil Stubbins, and so in my notes, he just becomes Stubbs.
I like that. I knew a guy named, whose last name was Stump, and we all called him Stumpy.
Aww.
Yeah. I won't tell you his full name, though. But everyone panics, and the hottie behind the cash register that Gus had been kind of, gussing on, hits the emergency button. There's a struggle, not really a struggle, and there's an accidental shot that goes off, and it hits a clock, I think.
Yes, it does. And I wondered if that was meaningful in some way.
Shawn is outside still in the car, and he starts to hear the sirens.
Okay. No.
No?
That's not what happens. There is nothing happening. It's not even apparent that he's heard any gunshots when he suddenly sits up from his reclined position like he's gotten a feeling. And then we hear sirens, and then the SBPD is on the scene, which is why I'm pretty freaking sure that Shawn just knew Gus was in danger. He's psychic.
I kind of feel like he might have heard the gunshots. Gunshot.
There's no indication.
There isn't, but okay. All right. I'm gonna play devil's advocate that, but yeah, I'm excited. Okay. Enter Juliet and Lassiter. Shawn's like, I'm running inside to help, and they grab him, and he's like, Gus is in there.
Okay. Credits. So, cut to Sue Ellen Jasper on Henry's TV reporting on the holdup. Apparently, the perp was there in order to steal over $1 million in diamonds, and it's turned into a hostage situation. And at this point, Henry doesn't think anything more than there's a robbery somewhere in town.
Mm-hmm. Shawn and Juliet are watching the footage to kind of see what's going on, and the very first thing that, I don't know if Shawn notices it or if I noticed it, but we kind of see that the manager approaches Phil to see what's kind of going on.
Yeah, Phil walks in, and immediately the manager leaves what he's doing with another person and walks straight over to Phil. That definitely happened.
Juliet thinks it's very unpsychic of him that he did not realize that it was coming.
Yeah, and she keeps asking why he didn't go in. Deposits are not a two-man job. Also, I don't see the future. I read the present. And I'm just like, what about that time you did horoscopes in the food critic murder? But
Shawn is absolutely overwhelmed. But we do have two more people helping, which are Lassiter and Buzz.
McNabb.
Yay, I love Buzz.
We love that he's there. He doesn't get to say much, but he's just clearly on Shawn's side all the time, even though he says nothing.
Around. He's kind of there to do things.
So Chief walks up and gives O'Hara the job of taking statements from all the outside witnesses, And then Shawn is trying to talk some sense into Lassiter. Someone needs to go in. But Chief tells Lassie she's contacted FBI and SWAT, and a negotiator is on their way.
Lassiter is not having that. He's like, how about I just, like, try to handle it first?
It's protocol, and you know it.
Enter SWAT.
Oh my god.
So much.
The song that plays.
My notes say hyper exciting music and everything.
Yeah, this is coming right after Lassie called them adrenaline monkeys.
But my favorite part, without question, and this might be my favorite part of the whole episode, is out of the back of the SWAT truck, two men open both of the doors, and out walks Commander Cameron Luntz, who
played by Gary Cole,
is our other big guest star this episode.
Oh yeah, you have seen this guy. He's been in The West Wing. He's been in The Good Wife, and I think now The Good Fight as a spinoff. Veep, Chicago Fire, the Brady Bunch movies as Mr. Brady, Office Space as the boss. He was in Dodgeball. He was Ricky Bobby's dad in Talladega Nights. Like, this man booked it blessed, okay?
And now we understand why this episode is focused around the guest stars.
And we get slow motion him coming out of the truck and striding across the street. It's ridiculous.
Putting on his sunglasses. The entire SWAT team is there. Shawn is a big old smart aleck about it. And then we have a nice introduction. Shawn introduces himself as the SBPD psychic and a dilettante of shadow puppetry.
Yes. I wrote Luntz versus Psych versus Lassie.
Luntz points out that Shawn is clearly acting out of fear. Luntz is ready to call in before things get too far, and Shawn's like, let me in. And then when Luntz won't let him, Shawn calls Gus.
Oh, yeah. There's this whole thing about the title game and Shawn being a smart aleck, and Buzz is clearly amused about it. And we get another, it's protocol, following protocol, blah, blah, blah. So Shawn calls Gus on his mobile. Totally sets off Stubbs. Like, he makes everybody give up their phones, and does he destroy them all or just Gus's?
He just destroys Gus's. Which Gus is really upset about. He said, I apologize, I would give it to you, but this is my work phone, and I get charged a deductible for any lost or stolen items. So how about I just put it on silent?
Destroy. But then Luntz actually calls into the bank like he's supposed to because he's the hostage negotiator.
Phil is listening but not saying anything until he notices the SWAT team outside with all the guns, and he's like, dude, get everyone back. I'm not dealing with that.
Somebody's fiance is frantically telling Juliet that her fiance is diabetic and will need to eat soon. So Jules walks straight up to Luntz and tells him, and he's really receptive of this coming from her, and Shawn notices. And then
not just like emotionally receptive, but literally he leans in and like touches her back while she's talking to him.
Yeah.
And so they decide to get some pizzas.
Yeah, and Luntz works it into his negotiation. He's like, yeah, you know how women are, and let me feed all those hungry people. And how do you guys feel about pizza?
Juliet and Shawn are trying to figure out what's going on, and Juliet immediately tries to stand up for Commander Luntz.
She's like, Gus is in good hands. Trust me. I'm fine standing down. Blah, blah, blah.
She's like, don't worry. He's with SWAT. And Shawn screams, he's SWAT. He's SWAT. He's not Colin Farrell. Which is a reference to this movie SWAT with Colin Farrell.
Yeah. I'm just so glad that Colin Farrell is finally, like, no longer doing those weird action movies. Like, he's much more suited to like cerebral awkward comedy, and like it's working more for him, I feel like.
I can hear that. Okay.
So Lassie makes a weird joke, and then Shawn is like, wait, you know him, Jules? Cameron? Because she says his first name, and Shawn is like, ew, what is this? I'm getting a vibe.
Juliet's like, all right, we met at a conference. We've gone on some dates. I like him, okay? I was going to talk to you about it, but... ...
Why would you have to talk to Shawn specifically about the person you're dating?
I was thinking that same question. Now, Kaylee and I took a small medical break from recording, but am I correct in saying that the last episode was the roller derby episode?
You are.
Which ended with them not holding hands.
They've had a lot of very flirty near misses lately, so I think she was just like, to clear the air and clarify things between us, I was gonna let you know that I was seeing someone. Oh well, here we are.
Shawn wants to help. He goes and talks to Vic, he goes and talks to Luntz, and he's like, listen, I am a longtime customer of the bank. No, he's like, listen, I can help. And Luntz said, I don't need you to figure out what's going on in there. I already know. One, he's a long-term customer of the bank. He owes lots of back taxes. His house has been foreclosed on recently, and he's a middle child.
You know that he's a middle child?
I can hear it in the timbre of his voice and the fact that he doesn't use contractions.
Sure.
Oh.
What he didn't mention is that he's married, and have they made any kind of contact with the man's wife yet? Because that sounds like a pretty good next step.
Shawn's like, I don't need to know that crap. I can read his mind. Let me get in there. And the answer is no.
Because if you can read minds, you know exactly where I want you to be right now.
Which is apparently behind the barricade.
So the pizzas get there, and they're basically like suiting this guy up, and they call in, and Stubbs is like, I don't want your cop pizza. I'm not letting your cop anywhere near it.
I want a regular person. Someone from behind the barricades. How convenient.
Shawn raises his hand. I love that part.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about your theory.
Yes.
That might be another moment. Because
he doesn't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
But they look at him and he raises his hand like, yes, put me in. I feel like what's gone unsaid the entire time, and it just continues, is he has kept going like, put me in, coach. Put me in, coach.
Yeah.
Put me in, coach.
He's ready to play today. That was a bad song reference. Okay, so Shawn's...
thank you very much for supporting my theory.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to watch for it now. And maybe also die on that hill. Shawn's taking in the pizza, and he kind of stops halfway up and decides to check it for deliciousness.
And then he advises Stubbs not to accept. There are 8 pies, 4 are vegetable. There's no pepperoni, and the utter disregard and criminal lack of pineapple. So there's a pineapple.
Of ham and pineapple, yeah. So ham and pineapple pizza seems to be an easy way for them to get a pineapple, although I don't think we see the pizza at all in this episode, but he does say pineapple, so that'll be our first one. And then Shawn happens to get himself taken hostage.
Yeah, first he and Luntz shout at each other repeatedly, and Stubbs put an end to it by grabbing Shawn and pulling him in.
We are now inside with all of the hostages. They are all separated, and they no longer have shoes on.
I think that was a pretty genius move.
I think so, too. And it leads to the crazy guy act. Shawn can't think about anything except for Juliet and Commander Luntz. And Gus is like, what are you doing? We have so much more to worry about than the two of them. And then you go and get yourself taken as a new hostage. That was my plan all along, you sweet dollop of spicy goodness.
Like he didn't mean to do that. I love that line. So Gus keeps trying to panic, and Shawn is just like, come on, dude. But Shawn is like, okay, answer me this. What kind of robber has the safety on the gun? The kind doesn't seem like a robber to me. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's all about stuff he hasn't done or might not get the chance to do. And
Shawn asked Gus what he saw, and he said, I did see something. I saw a chin. A glorious one. Life is fleeting and I need to live. And then Shawn's like, I need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, I write, Shawn causes a commotion, says he needs to potty. He downed an orange Julius just before this, and it is not agreeable to his system.
And it can get really ugly.
So Stubbs is escorting Shawn to the potty, and we're passing by, the camera is panning over, a semi-wall. It's a really weird shot, but we're passing the top of a file cabinet where there's a bunch of fruit, including a pineapple.
Shawn tells Phil that he is psychic. And then he said that he is best known for what the French call du fromage, which loosely translates to of cheese.
It literally translates to of cheese.
He starts to have a psychic moment with Phil to try to get him to believe him. And he points out that he is a middle child and not a bank robber.
And he says, I'm also sensing that there is something nefarious and also evil happening.
Phil hugs Shawn and said, "How's my wife?
Is she scared?" And
can you get a message to her?
Shawn's like, sure. Yeah, I can do that. And then we get this like intense whisper exposition.
That's beautiful. It's like really close to the face, straight into the ear.
And all the information we should possibly need to know.
The short recap of that is some dude stopped him outside, told him that they had kidnapped his wife and that he needed to go in and get the banks and get the diamonds or she was dead. And then Phil's like, I don't really know what's going on, but I feel like someone's watching me from in here.
Ooh, that's a good point. So Shawn convinces him to put Shawn in charge and
to keep up the crazy guy routine.
Also, give me some privacy. I wasn't kidding about the Orange Julius before. So, from the bathroom, he first attempts to call Luntz, and this ass instantly thinks that Shawn has just been given a crazy story that he believes by a crazy person, instead of being like, why is he confiding in a hostage?
Hangs up on him. Shawn calls Lassiter and immediately calls him Lasioptopus.
Lasiopsis?
Lasioptus. Lasioptos.
So it's like
Lasioptus.
No, it's like a dog breed. It's Lhasa Apsos.
Oh. That makes more sense. Okay. Shawn tells Lassiter about the wife and then everything that's going on and flushes the toilet. Lassiter is very upset that he's telling him all this information from the bathroom.
But as soon as he gets off the phone, he goes, McNabb, I've got something you need to run down for me.
We're sending Buzz to see what's going on with the wife.
And then we're Shawn and Stubbs in the bank manager's office discussing the list of demands that Shawn has composed.
Including an airplane, a blue tour bus including groupies, $5,000 in unmarked bill, and a zipline for snacks.
A zipline pulley system used to transport deliciously flavored snacks and such from one location to another.
Shawn's like, we just need to kill some time before they do anything. That's why we're asking for all these demands. We need to figure out who the guy on the inside is. So before you talk to Luntz, I need you to let me talk to him. While Phil is calling Commander Luntz, Shawn notices that there is a list of foreclosures on the desk. And we know that Phil's house has recently been foreclosed on.
Yes, but there's a check mark by a different house on the list, and that'll come back later. Oh, okay, so Phil tells Luntz that he has put Shawn in charge and he'll be negotiating on his behalf, and even though Luntz is objecting, the phone's being handed over to Shawn anyway, so oh well.
Luntz is like, I'm in charge. You need to step back. And Shawn said, it would appear that I am in fact in charge now. Put Juliet on the phone. And then, in disregard for, the hostages and everything, immediately starts to ask Juliet about her relationship with Commander Luntz.
Including if he has those old guy boobies that sag at the end.
Or if he's standing next to you sniffing your hair.
All the SWAT guys are, snickering and, she's like, Shawn, everyone can hear you.
They give the phone back to Luntz and to Phil. Phil lists off his list of demands. Everything's cool. And then we get this weird bank manager sandwich between Shawn and Gus.
Gus is helping Shawn do shenanigans, and they're basically sneak interrogating the guy, and his story doesn't match up with what Shawn saw in the video he watched. So he claims that Phil approached him and he had to stop what he was doing to deal with it. And then he took him to the vault and held him up for the diamonds. And how did he know about the diamonds? Well, just so happens a week prior, he was there when the diamonds were deposited, and he was very upset about the foreclosure on his home. And so he felt compelled to tell Phil that, oh, we're sorry to stop talking to you, but a very important deposit of valuable items is being made. And so he knew about the diamonds, and oops, my bad. In the video, though, of Phil and the bank manager in the vault, we see that the bank manager raises his hands before Phil puts the gun on him. So he's like leading the robber.
Rookie
He's doing
move.
everything before the robber's telling him to. Like, he knows what's happening.
The bank manager's name is Nathaniel Grisling, but I'm just calling him manager throughout the rest of the episode, but...
Oh, yeah. I
Names
didn't
are
even
important.
bother writing his name down. He's a little weasel.
Yeah, he is. Shawn looked at him, kind of laughed, gave him some crap about denying his zipline loan, and then said, "Nothing is agreeing with me today," and kind of like holds his stomach. And I was just like...
He was eating Oreos.
That's
and then he's
my
like,
life. Nothing is agreeing with me ever.
Mm.
Oh, Phil tells Shawn that they're going to meet all his demands.
Yeah, as he stands by the front window and watches them bring the bus around, he's like, "It's not blue, it's green. Is that okay?" And then Shawn catches sight of like a sniper scope across the way on a roof, and he pulls Phil to the ground just as a shot rings out and goes through the glass.
And everyone's face when they realize that this guy just stopped them from being saved. And Shawn's only answer to that was, "Free hugs?"
Who's next? Phil didn't hurt anybody. He doesn't seem super mean. He seems scared. So, like, I don't know how I would feel in that situation, but I don't think someone's brains not being splattered all over the place is like something I would have a problem with.
I mean, he got you pizza. It's not like he's like waving the gun at people. Also, can I just say that there are so many opportunities in this series for everybody to run out and him not notice. Like maybe I'm crazy because I went through like so many shooter trainings when I worked at the university, but like you don't sit there and wait while the guy's waving the gun. There's 17 giant guys around. You tackle him and you hope for the best. Or, when he walked away and stopped looking, you run out of the bank.
Yeah, I was watching a movie and I had similar feelings about how many times the main character was freezing up in critical situations, and I was like, you're staring danger in the face. You either throw a right hook or you run away. You don't just freeze. Like, I just can't imagine freezing in that situation. Like, and that's one of the responses. Some people just do.
Yeah. But
it goes against everything. Like, I don't know. I can't relate.
I just, it wouldn't make for a very good episode if that happened, so, okay, but, okay, we shall move on. Henry is watching the news, and he finds out that local psychic detective Shawn Spencer is now taken hostage inside the bank.
Oh, yeah. So then Shawn sits back down with Gus, and Gus is like, don't talk to me. Everyone's already mad at me about the phone thing, and now you come sit next to me and it looks like I'm friends with you. And Shawn tells him that Phil is going to release a hostage as a sign of good faith, and Gus thinks it's him. And then
he's like, "Oh no, there are women and children here. They should be the one to go."
No, not children. Oh. There are older people. There are women.
Oh, okay.
There's no children in this episode. But then Phil is like, "Shawn, are you ready?"
Before they leave, this moment happens. Gus looked at him and said, "I care about you. And I appreciate you. And, well, I love you, Shawn." And they have a big, tight hug that goes on and on and on and on forever. Because Gus is seriously afraid that he's not going to make it.
I couldn't tell if Gus was seriously afraid or if it was some kind of show for the teller who's still right there. Like, I was very confused by how effusive Gus was being.
I think it was a real thing because Gus was so, like, everybody hates me already. I want to be the cool, I don't know, maybe. You don't hug the guy. I don't know. It seemed weird. I don't know. Now I'm questioning everything.
Yeah, I didn't know how to read that. And Shawn is like, I'm going to be back in like a half an hour, right, buddy?
Shawn goes outside and said, the bank manager is our guy. He's the guy on the inside.
Don't trust him. Don't, keep an eye on him. So Shawn is released. And he, like, squints into the sunlight, like, I've been weakened by my time as a hostage.
Commander Luntz wants to debrief him.
But so does Lassie.
Finally, Chief Vic steps in and says, he's our guy. And Shawn said, just before we get too far along here, I'm not wearing briefs. Henry's there, and Chief Vic won out. He is their guy. So Henry's there, and he's like, I need to talk to you, Shawn.
Oh, yeah, he's over by the barricade.
Henry said, Commander Luntz is ready to take this guy out.
He says, that negotiator, he's done negotiating.
There's tear gas coming, maybe within the next hour, and it never looks good.
Oh, yeah, he's like, it's not pretty. You got maybe an hour tops, because Shawn asked him, like, how long do you think I've got? I'm still trying to wrap this pretty thing up. And that's basically all we get of Henry for the rest. So Shawn, after flirting a little bit with a lady behind the barricades, he goes over with Lassiter, and they have like this whole moment. Shawn is like, I need to prove that the kidnapping thing holds water. We've got to track down the wife. You've got to come with me. I know where she's being held. I've got serious vibes. It's all about vibes and protocol in this episode, I swear. So, yeah, Lassiter's like, protocol. I'm breaking rules, blah, blah, blah. And Shawn is like, oh my God. Dude, what's he saying about
just
the little Lassiters?
Just once can you grab life by the little Lassiters and follow your instincts.
So, basically, it takes a turn. And Lassiter's like, you take shotgun.
You're so sexy right now.
It's like, same, Shawn. Same.
Shawn waves Juliet to join them. And she doesn't know what to do. But she's got to go.
She really does this weird J-hook thing that takes her past Luntz so that she can tell him that she's sorry, but she has to go. And he asks if they're still on for tonight. And she just, like, runs to the truck where Shawn and Lassie are.
I don't know what it's like to be a hostage negotiator. I don't know what it's like to be a police officer. But in that moment, is it really appropriate to be worried about your date later on today?
Yeah, you don't know how long you're going to be there, or if you're going to ruin everything, sending in tear gas and SWAT guys. So, Shawn is giving them psychic directions to where the, Joanne, I almost forgot her name. We know her name. Phil Stubbins' wife, Joanne Stubbins, is being held, and Shawn is asking Juliet what the attraction is with the old guy. Is she looking forward to giving him sponge baths in the near future? And Lassie is so tickled pink by that. He loves that joke.
I don't know what sort of like van or swap machine they were in, but I just called it the Lassie Mobile.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where they got that, whose it is, but they're driving it. Cool.
They find the house. They stop. Shawn is not allowed to go in. But don't worry, Lassie and Juliet have this, and they do a full tactical entrance to spy music, including very heavy crescendos.
They're splitting up. They're going around the different ways to get to the different exits and clock, the perimeter. And then Shawn is following Juliet, and he says, you know what? I want you to go out with Luntz. I think you should.
I want you to be happy.
Yeah, so he's really making a push in this scene to be like, I'm going to be mature about this. What I really want is for you to be happy. And if you think that you stand a chance with this guy, like, you should definitely pursue it. And then he's like, when are you guys meeting up? And she's like, tonight. And he's like, wow, that's super soon. Where are you going?
Mario's.
That place is a little stuffy, no?
I like the bread.
And then they, like, bust into the house. They find Joanna. Joanne? No, I don't know.
I don't know that I ever wrote her name down.
I wrote it down, but now I don't remember if it had an A at the end or not.
They find her, but they don't find any of the people who had kidnapped her.
And Lassie's really mad that Shawn is in the room, and he's like, I told you to stay in the truck. And Shawn says, if I did, I wouldn't be able to tell you that the guy just made a break for it out the back. And
they call in the dogs.
Yeah, Lassie's getting the canine unit on. And then back at the bank, we see that Luntz says he's going to attempt to make contact one more time, and then they're going in. And then we see Stubbs not answering the phone on the inside, and he starts freaking out, and he forcibly takes the bank manager guy and starts to interrogate him in one of the offices, and because he's convinced he knows where his wife is, and he's at his wit's end.
All the while, Gus is like, something's going on, so he kind of sneakies back and watches the exchange, trying to figure it out.
But he finally starts to open the door, and then he's got a gun on him. So we've got another player in the room. So she says, or they ask her if she saw the guy who took her, and she goes, it was actually two guys. And they're like, oh my God, two. And then she's like, I couldn't see anything, really. I don't know what they looked like, but there was a gap in the blindfold at the bottom, and one guy was wearing these brown wingtip shoes. And
Shawn remembers it from the bank, and he realizes that the other kidnapper is also in the bank. So now we have the manager, we have an additional kidnapper, and then we have the one who ran away.
Yeah. So Gus tries to enter the room, and he's held up by the big guy, who in the very next scene, Jules says Morgan Phelps. It was in the bank. The guy they caught with the canine unit gave it up. The manager is the grandmaster plan maker, and Phelps is the guy inside. He was supposed to be there just to watch it go down, make sure it didn't go sideways, but then it went sideways with the whole hostage thing.
Phil, the bank manager knew that Phil would be a good patsy, and they're calling Commander Luntz, and Commander Luntz is not answering because they're trying to get him to not tear gas the place.
My question is, why didn't they attempt to call Chief? She's on site as well, no?
That's true. I'm still
Luntz isn't taking
trying
calls.
to figure out why they didn't attempt to contact his wife.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they know before freaking Lassie and McNabb had to do it all themselves?
Yeah.
So, anyway, we get back to the bank. We found out that SWAT did go in, and they don't know where Morgan Phelps is or who Morgan Phelps is. They're still counting bodies. It's a mess out here. Thanks, Captain Obvious. It's all your fault. Way to go, Luntz.
Shawn's like looking at the shoes, trying to see if he's still there, and he sees the brown wingtips are gone.
So then they go into the office. Apparently we have already found Gus and Stubbs and the bank manager, but Shawn notices that there are screws on the floor, and instantly he goes, the guy! He's escaped! He's escaped into the sewer! I see it so clearly!
Commander Luntz is not really listening to him or really caring, and then finally he said, listen to me, I know what I'm talking about. Can you not hear it in the timbre of my voice?
Yeah, no vibrato. So then Luntz leaves to go check it out, because Lassie says, if I know one thing, if they access the sewer out back, it could dump them anywhere in the city.
As soon as he's gone, Shawn goes, oops, just kidding, Phelps is in the ducks.
Yeah. Gus, help me boost Lassie up.
Give me one of those size 12 narrows.
Love it.
Lassiter goes to the ducks, finds Phelps, grabs him. Everything is great.
It's hilarious that they're trying to make that look tense, because it's full-grown men in these really tight spaces. Like, I got you now, sucker.
Shawn and Gus are going to grab backup, and Shawn looks at Lassiter and said, good job, partner.
He, like, screams it into the duck.
Oh, that's it.
He's like, we're going for backup. Good job, partner. And Gus is like, partner?
You gotta admit, he's better than a little boy cat. Or a little girl cat.
And Shawn is like, look at you. Still looking all Poitier after all of that stress.
What? He does this nose tap.
Yeah. And he's like, come on, slap me in the face and tell me they call you Mr. Tibbs. Come on, do it.
I'm not doing that.
Like, he gets so close, he just doesn't say the last part of the line.
They call me... No, I'm not doing that.
And then they get into the blueberry, and Shawn's like, come on, they call you. And then he stops short, too. Now, this is the second time we've had a Poitier in the heat of the night, like, play out.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure we had it, like, something about it in Season 1, too.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember
really
that.
early on.
Okay. We're back at the psych office, and in comes Juliet to Shawn, and she is all pretty looking.
She is pretty looking, and she goes, hey, I got these, Gus's shoes from an evidence guy, and I thought I'd just, drop them off.
You can burn them. He was devastated.
It's like he's already mourned them and moved on. Also, is this your, dropping off shoes for a friend outfit?
Commander Luntz canceled on her.
Apparently, after 4 showers, he still couldn't get the sewer smell out of his skin.
Too bad. But they do have a new date tomorrow.
Wow, that's really efficient rescheduling.
Yeah, we'll see. As she's ready to go, Shawn's like, wait a second. What do you think of a ballpark frank and a stroll on the boardwalk?
Well, he says, have you eaten? And she says, no. And he says it's no Mario's, but...
In comes the zip line. That was one of the demands from the hostage situation. And on the zip line, there's a little tiny pineapple.
Is there?
It's carved into the metal of the zip line.
Oh, maybe that's what the thing I read said. It was something about the delivery thing, and I was like, he wasn't wearing a delivery jacket. It wasn't on the pizza box. Okay.
It was part of the snack zip line that had hot dogs on it that apparently plump when you cook them.
Yeah, we end on that, the explaining of the plumping of the dogs. Now, can I just say that every time the zipline pulley system food delivery is mentioned, I think about how obsessed our good friend Jamie, our very own Lassiter, and I were with the hot dog shop Vittlevator. Vittlevator?
The
Yup. Okay, so back across the river from our hometown, there was the original hot dog shop. It was not affiliated with the chain of hot dog shops in the next state. Mm-hmm. It was an OG of its own, and it had 2 drive-through lanes, and the farthest drive-through lane had a Vittlevator. It was a, kid you not, elevator conveyor belt contraption. And we talked about inventing one for college that made Cookie Monster noises. Oh, nom, 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 nom.
I love that.
But the hot dog shop, the hot dog deliveries, I just kept thinking of the Vittlevator.
That makes total sense. That's a cool thing. It's in East Liverpool, Ohio, my friends. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's worth it.
Fondest of memories.
Yeah. The one time I got pulled over, actually, I guess it's the first time I got pulled over. I've gotten pulled over once since then. The first time I got pulled over, I was on my way to the hot dog shop, and I had your husband in my backseat. The first time my brother got pulled over, he was on his way to a movie theater, and he had your husband in the backseat.
Oh my gosh, I've never been pulled over with my husband. I love that for him. I'll have to remind him of that.
Yeah. So it's worth a trip there if you do go. But this was a really quick episode. Like we're not even 50 minutes into recording. I think by the time the episode's done, it's going to be probably closer to 40 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It was quick. It kept pace. It doesn't do a whole lot for the storyline of the series.
Arcs,
yeah. But it was so focused on Phil and Commander Luntz and Protocol.
Protocol. I do love that, like, Shawn is always talking about golden time. Or golden hour?
The golden hour, yeah.
Yeah, it's golden time, and I look great in that light. It's, did he talk about it? Was it in the school reunion one, or, I know it came up this season, I feel like.
That would make sense.
I did like this one. It did go really fast. Mm-hmm. Watching it, even when I was taking notes, I didn't pause this one as much as I usually pause.
I didn't either.
Notes.
Yeah.
I was just like, I could do it while it was going. It wasn't super dialogue heavy like sometimes they are. And I feel like I have to write down everything, even though I remember most of it.
Yeah, the quips weren't there. Like, usually I'm writing down those, like, super funny one-liners. But they just really weren't, like, so jam-packed into this episode.
And not a ton of pop culture references.
Right, that's what I was about to say. The biggest one is Cameron, obviously being Cameron from Ferris Bueller. Also being Cameron Luntz, the chief commander.
He didn't turn out not unlike an adult Cameron would be, did he?
I do think that Phil Stubbins might be adult Cameron.
Like, he loves his wife, not having great luck, kind of a hangdog, pitiful guy, but like a good guy. You know, he's doing everything he can. I mean, I'm here for it. I love him. I definitely like him better than Luntz.
Mm-hmm. And we're supposed to. Yeah. Yeah. It's written well. But, quick episode, fun episode, great guest stars. I'm Alexis, and cut. That's great. Dripping with swagger. Let's go again, though, and maybe ease up on the cocksure smile just a bit.
Doesn't he say, I don't think it'll play in the Midwest?
He does. That's how it ends.
And I'm Kaylee. I know you don't like my methods. I know you don't like me. But we are pressed for time, and I'm telling you, I am vibing like crazy. Can we screw protocol and get the hell out of here?
And this has been To the Blueberry!
Psych out.